So Peter, thank you very much for making time to share your insights into the future of manufacturing. But before we walk into the future, can you tell us a little bit about your own background? Where did you grow up?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm a Joburg-based, born and bred. I've been in Johannesburg area and the south of Johannesburg, as well as in the Vaal area, where I've done my schooling and lived most of my life. I currently still live in North Riding in Johannesburg, and I don't see myself moving anytime soon.
Right. And what was your dream career when you grew up?
Well, when I was in school, at primary school, I wanted to be a marine biologist. And that was because of scuba diving and the love of water. But as I grew up and I started my career, I became involved in project management and product development, and that was my passion. And I think, that was what I was meant to do up until the point where the technology bug bit me, and I then devoted my time and efforts towards building a company that can solve problems using technology.
Right. And tell us who inspired you in your early days?
Yeah, my parents, I think, my parents have always raised us to be independent people. And so maybe not cut out for corporate life or for that kind of environment. So we've basically, we are self-standing, self-motivated people. And I think that's probably the biggest push to where we are. And inherently, I'm a problem solver. So, where there's a problem, I would always like to get involved and try to solve that. And that has pushed me into where I am at the moment.
And tell us, Peter, today you are heading up Informed Decisions, an IoT firm. Can you tell us a little bit about your portfolio?
Yeah. So Informed Decisions is a company that I started with two partners in 2016, and that is after I did some consulting work. I'm a management consultant as well as a project management consultant in another business that I owned, and as part of that process, I consulted to a telecommunications company in South Africa. And back in the day when it was still called machine-to-machine communications, I saw something bigger in the technology. And a couple of years after that contract ended, I started the tech firm with the idea of looking forwards into what technology should be giving us instead of looking at what competitors are doing and how do we compete with them. So we started the business with a focus on data and how data can enrich and increase efficiencies and decrease risk within manufacturing, within any industry that we play in. And we then built technology to support that. So we had a focus, we had a problem statement. We needed to look at the future as to how manufacturing and other industries will operate in the future, and how can we create technology that supports that on a roadmap basis. So we established this company. We developed the technology. We've developed the software behind the technology, and now we can offer a solution that is scalable and will stand the test of time as people start getting more and more interested in not only getting the information, but be able to do something with it as well. We are engaging in artificial intelligence and machine learning and all of those things. But the core is to get the granular data, best quality possible data that you can get.
So basically, you help your clients to make better decisions faster, right?
Yes, and that's how our company name comes from, is we try to help our customers make informed decisions. And that's why we named the company Informed Decisions.
Right. And Peter, looking back over your career, would you say there was a major turning point or a number of turning points?
There's always a number of turning points. I think every aspect of your life defines the next level, defines the next step. So the time I spent in the banks taught me something about the finances and about the requirements that led me into the next portion of my career. And the time I spent at SAB, taught me about what the customer requirements would be in our current position, type of thing. So I think, as long as you are open to learn and open to experience and take risks, every single portion of your career is a stepping stone to the next. And you have to keep that in mind when you go through your career.
And what would you say is driving you today?
The passion for success, that feeling of a successful outcome on a project, is probably what drives me. I'm absolutely passionate about the technologies and the technology space, and the expectation of what this industry will do to the global economy, and the part it will play in saving the planet, as well as giving the companies the ability to do a lot more with less. I think there's a little bit of a human side to it, and a little bit of technology side to what drives me, but it is all based out of passion.
And looking into the future, Pieter, how do you see manufacturing in South Africa to change in the near future?
So my hope for Industry 4.0 is that it is not an incremental change. We need to do a lot more with a lot less. So we have to have that step change in manufacturing. And the only way we're going to do that is to get the information that I had a speech not long ago where one of the key points is the seemingly insignificant data of the past is the relevant and data of today. The data points that in the past was not needed to be taken into effect, like water quality and water sustainability and so forth, is the key topic for today's manufacturing processes. And that is where I see the Industry 4.0 play a big role, is to get a lot more information, being able to analyze and present the data in a way that decision makers can make proper decisions based on facts of the entire end-to-end solution or system.
And Pieter, what have you learned from your own journey, your own leadership journey, that you would consider most important for building future leaders?
Be humble. I think the biggest learning that I've had is that if you do your best and you work with the intent of making a better life for yourself and for your colleagues in the organization, and you are open to learn from people within the organization and outside, it gives you a much better sense of achievement when you do get into a leader type of role. But it is a day-to-day journey. Everybody has got a skill or a knowledge that they can share with you. So you can learn from any level within the organization, and that's what you need to do. Is you need to every day try to fix that 10% of the problems that you face the day before. And if you can just fix one of those things on a daily basis, but in a year's time, you're able to achieve a lot.
And looking back, Pieter, can you maybe share some of the biggest challenges you have encountered in your career?
So I think from an industrial point of view and in industry or manufacturing industry point of view, people are taught to do the same thing slightly better than the person before them. And it is the old business school management line is to say, look behind you and you see a straight line, you look up in front of you and you continue with that straight line. And that is a big challenge when it comes to manufacturing, because doing the same thing slightly better than it was done before is not going to give you the incremental change that's required. My biggest challenge was that it's not complacency, but the comfort zone.
Yeah.
Being in a comfort zone is comfortable, and it is nice, and it's warm and fuzzy. And the biggest challenge for me was how do I get myself to break that comfort zone on a regular basis? If you do it every day, it's taxing, and it's emotionally taxing on your body. But you need to, on a regular basis, get yourself out of that comfort zone, take a bit of a risk from a manufacturing point of view, plan and look at what the technology is available, and make those risks. Implement something that will improve efficiency and or decrease risk on a continuous basis. It doesn't always work out 100%, and that is probably a challenge that needs to be adopted and accepted. But it has to be done for you to be able to grow into a role and also improve the outputs of your manufacturing process.
And Pieter, if you were to design a curriculum for future leaders, what are the new skills, maybe some of the new skills that you would like to factor in?
Well, it will start off with the basis. The base old age skills of manufacturing. Manufacturing is, the faster you get it in, the faster it goes through the process, the faster it goes out with a focus on quality. But if I would look at an existing business going through it and getting the skills there, is I would start looking at digitization. I would start looking at technology-focused elements within that process, and also plan 5 steps ahead and execute step 1. So the skill there must be self-learning, self-awareness, adoption of technology, and over and above, of course, the core skills that's required to do the engineering, etc.
And when it comes to social media, Pieter, how would you advise future leaders should handle and navigate social media to build their own leadership brand?
Social media is a powerful tool, and I think that it needs to be adopted, but people need to be very careful. What I would recommend is that you need to split your personal and your business personas and environments and manage that very carefully. I'm a very firm believer of a well-managed and engaged network. And if you mix your private life and your business life and social media, it can become troublesome. So I'm personally I focus all my business attention on LinkedIn, and that's been very positive for me. And it needs to be, if you communicate on social media, you need to understand who you want to read it or notice it, and what type of responses that you're looking for. So it needs to be focused. It needs to be within your frame of experience and factual. Fake news comes up quite often, and people that spread fake news is part of the problem and not part of the solution. So my biggest focus on social media is to keep my business persona and my thought leadership persona that I'm working on separate to what I would do on Facebook, or I'm too old for anything else on Facebook, and keep that separate and manage each in its own merit.
And Pieter, given our current situation around COVID-19, how do you believe this will change the local manufacturing landscape?
Unfortunately, significantly, and initially not in a good way. I think that a lot of small and medium size manufacturing companies would probably go out of business, or would be very close to that if they are not assisted. But I do think that once we get out of this mess of COVID-19 and people adopt technology where they can increase their efficiencies, they can reduce their risk, the companies will come out stronger and they will come out better with better quality. And I think automation is always a frowned on approach when it comes to a labor hungry country, but automation is not the end point of labor. Automation just changes the skill set required for people to contribute meaningfully. So I think with COVID-19, it's going to be a very difficult time. The companies that has adopted a higher rate of automation will probably feel less than what a company would have been with a labor-intensive workforce. But all life is ever growing, and we will get through this, and we'll come up the other side stronger than what we went in.
And Pieter, as a mentor to future leaders, can you maybe share a success story or two where you mentored an upcoming leader and that person took your advice to heart?
Yeah, I was thinking about this question long and hard, and I think mentorship is very important, but not all mentorship is directly and conscious mentorship. I have through my career and through my career as an entrepreneur, have spoken and dealt with many people that were starting out and starting businesses, and I would say 50% of them took the advice to heart and was careful in their planning and execution of their businesses. And the other 50% were, the moment they started making some money, they would buy cars and they would buy houses and those kind of things, and then very quickly see that business is not as simple as just starting off and running. The one example that I chose is one of the guys that actually worked for us, and he came to me and he asked me if I would mentor him directly, and I felt quite honored. I've never really been asked direct questions like this, and I've set up a process. And this person was a shop floor cleaner in our factory, and just the engagement and his willingness to learn and willingness to try things and take initiative has gotten him over a space of 2 years from the shop floor cleaner to a assistant management in the assembly plant. And that is the power of the willingness to learn and communicate with all levels in the organization. This person had at the he was happy to come and talk to me and ask me directly to do this. And I think that people in big organizations often are afraid to communicate at different ranks to themselves. So this is a good example of somebody taking a risk and being rewarded for that.
And Pieter, are there any role models of leadership that you would recommend future manufacturing leaders should study and learn from?
Yeah, sorry, Nick. That there is many, and it's difficult for me to choose one or two. I think as time goes by with the fourth industrial revolution, new leaders that would be worth following will emerge, and those will be the adopters and the executors of technologies, and it's most probably going to happen very shortly after the COVID-19 debacle. There's many examples that I can use from MBA classes of great leaders in history, but I think we are going into a new world, and a new type of management and a new type of leader will emerge through this difficult time that we're facing. Currently, we've got a couple of customers of ours that is adopting technology and seeing this, the capabilities and the efficiency increases and the profit margins in the agri space, in the pharmaceutical manufacturing space, in the water preparation space, where it's difficult to start off with, but the willingness to stay in and see the process through has rewarded them at the end. But I do think that there's going to be a couple of leaders that will come out of this process in the next couple of years.
And Pieter, how can our listeners follow, or how can they connect with you, and where should they follow you?
Yeah, they can connect directly through my email or through LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is a good place to start. It is Pieter Pienaar on LinkedIn, and I am the CEO of Informed Decisions IoT, which is also a company listed on LinkedIn. And I very often, the connection is started at LinkedIn and then moves over to email and direct face-to-face meetings and so forth.
And Pieter, last but not least, is there one thing that you would really like to, or one piece of advice that you would like to convey to future manufacturing leaders that they should implement in their own leadership and life?
Yes, this disruption and change should be adopted. It should be an everyday event. People should not steer away from change. Change is a fact of life. That would be the first thing. It would be fail often and fail quickly and move on. So if you've tried something that has not worked, take the learning out of it and adjust your approach and continue. Failure is as big a part of life as what success would be. And nobody has learned out of success as much as they would have learned out of failure. So it is important to try. You need to be out there. You need to be trying things to push the envelope of your current environment. And then the last thing would be doing the same thing a little bit better than what your predecessor did or that you did the previous year is not good enough. You need to have a look at how do you make incremental changes in the business and in the process that you work in.
Well, Pieter, thank you so much for sharing your insights and your wisdom into the future of manufacturing and reminding us that change is constant and that we have to reinvent ourselves and our businesses, especially now.
Thank you very much, Nick. I really appreciate that, and I hope that that it was of some use.
It was great. Thank you so much.